We got a trade alert. The New Orleans Saints have just sent defensive tackle and fan favorite Colin Saunders to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the team that they just tied with in the NFL preseason Week 2 matchup. Thank you for tuning into Saints Now by Chat Sports in this late night edition. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. I am the host of this channel. Be sure to subscribe if you want free content around the New Orleans Saints by fans, for fans, and plus a lot of great live content as well. So I just want to first start off by saying I'm not totally sure exactly what the trade compensation is at the time of filming this video. When we are notified, I will put that in the pinned comment and I'll update the live description and everything like that. So that way you guys are aware of what's going on and as up to date as possible. Plus, we're going to break this down in full detail again tomorrow, talk about some potential replacements and potentially what could the future of the defensive tackle position look like. I will also say this, I don't think it's a bad move. I do think that the New Orleans Saints are losing a guy who was a fan favorite. We all loved Bink. We all loved seeing him line up as a running back or as a receiver or whatever. I mean, it was electric. He had a fun little stretch there, a fun little stint. That pick against Patrick Mahomes on Monday Night Football. I mean, this guy was bringing the juice. He was bringing the energy. He was a really, really fun football player to have in the black and gold, but ultimately, it just never really worked out. This new scheme that Brandon Staley is implementing, I just don't think necessarily fits with Colin Saunders. And it's no disrespect to the player. I want it on record. I'm a huge fan of Bink, and I'm a big, big supporter of Colin Saunders. But I do think that the New Orleans Saints have a very, very good group of depth in the defensive line, especially on the interior. So I think Colin Saunders became a little bit expendable, and I think that he was a player that hopefully you get a decent return in. Obviously, the New Orleans Saints traded away their 7th-round pick this year to get Devon Godshaw with the New England Patriots. So in my opinion, I think that's what the trade compensation is going to ultimately be. It could be something different, but I think that a 7th-round pick is going to be involved. And to be totally honest, I don't see it being much more than that. That's just my opinion. But Tom Pelissero breaking the news that Colin Saunders is headed to Duval. Bink has already taken to Twitter just saying, wow, with the prayer and then hashtag Duval and stuff. But obviously, I want to talk about the player you're losing, and then we'll kind of shift to the future of this defensive tackle group. Colin Saunders, sure, he didn't light it up on the stat sheet, but this is a player who is very, very valued by the New Orleans Saints in the locker room, especially. He was a key part in the locker room, and he was actually the host of the weekly Captain's Corner, following in the footsteps. Shout out to Jeff Duncan for this, and following in the footsteps of Craig Robinson and Mark Ingram. So somebody's going to have to fill that role, and somebody's going to have to take over that responsibility. But I do think that Colin Saunders is going to provide some good depth for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do think that he's a player that there is some upside. There is some fun to be had. And I think that he's a player that ultimately we should look back and say that wasn't a horrible signing. We had some fun moments. We got some great plays, but at the end of the day, we are out with the old, in with the new. We're heading in the direction of Kellen Moore's team, not Dennis Allen's team anymore. This is now Kellen Moore's offense, Brandon Staley's defense. No longer is this the Dennis Allen regime and the Dennis Allen team. So the whole coaching staff got a pretty much full revamp. The roster is in the midst of a revamp. They've been doing that since last year at the trade deadline when they sent Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders. Ultimately, these are moves that the Saints, I'm not going to say need to be making, but I do think that these are moves that are necessary for a team like the New Orleans Saints, who are not in the world of competing for a Super Bowl right now. I will tell you this. Quick little, you missed this guy. You think his bobblehead rocks. Like the video. Just, Drew, do you want them to like the video? Do you want them to subscribe? Listen to Drew Brees. Just saying, he knows ball. Anyway, let's talk about the future. Because when it comes to the defensive line for the New Orleans Saints, they do have some really, really intriguing options. Christian Boyd has been getting a lot of praise this offseason and this summer, and he's been having some really good moments during the preseason. Remember, last week he had a tackle for loss that almost was ruled a sack. No fun league came in, was not a sack. But Christian Boyd's been making some really, really good plays, and I think he fits the scheme really well for the New Orleans Saints that Brandon Staley is implementing in that 3-4 base defense that we'll be seeing with the 5-man fronts. Brian Brzee, obviously, he's a really, really talented defensive tackle as well. I want to see him truly become an alpha as a defensive lineman. Really, really good against the pass rush. Needs to be better against the run. I like Brian Brzee a lot. I think that he has a really, really bright future, but I want to see him take another step this year in a really, really big way. Obviously, Colin Saunders, he's gone. John Ridgeway, he suffered an injury today. It was like chest, shoulder. Not totally sure exactly what the injury is there, but, that's another thing to keep in mind is, that's another player that right now may be at risk of being a practice squad guy, at least for a little bit, or on the PUP list because of the injury. I'm hoping John Ridgeway can stay healthy because I'm a big fan of him, as you see, Arkansas Razorback grad, but also I just a really big fan of the player and of the individual. Vernon Broughton, the player that the New Orleans Saints drafted in the 3rd round this year out of Texas, he is another defensive tackle that had some really, really good moments today, had a fumble recovery against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ultimately, it felt like Colin Saunders was just kind of on display today, and it's wild that considering the Saints just a few hours ago were playing the Jags in a football game, and now Colin Saunders is part of that team. It's kind of crazy. Like, they should have got it done sooner, so Colin Saunders could have hopped on the plane with everybody and started the team building, if you will. But ultimately, like, you do have some tough decisions to make with the defensive interior. That's going to be a really, really hard spot to make some cuts. So when it comes to the New Orleans Saints, we'll have to see what they opt to do. We'll have to see where they go with this squad. Nathan Shepard obviously still around as well. But ultimately, I do think that the New Orleans Saints, for them, this was a smart move. This was a good move. Again, awaiting the compensation, hoping that while I'm filming it, we get an update around it. But at the end of the day, like, I think that this is not a bad move. And I think that the New Orleans Saints are doing things right and they're headed in the right direction. And to be totally honest, trading away a player like Colin Saunders, sure, it stinks because you hate losing a fun player. Hold on. We got an update on the trade conversation. This is why I hang out till the end of the video. Jaguars are sending center Luke Fortner to the Saints in the Colin Saunders deal. So not sure if there's going to be any draft compensation as well. Luke Fortner, I'm going to take a look at his Pro Football Focus grades. Going to be totally honest, not very familiar with this player. 27 years old, 6'6", 307 pounds. In 2024, regular season PFF grades, not good. 52.5 overall, 28.5 pass blocking, 55.0 run blocking grade. Only played in 13 snaps, so there you have it. But ultimately, the Saints are getting a piece of depth back. They have a lot of injuries on the offensive line. Eric McCoy obviously is healthy, but if he goes down, you are in big, big trouble. Will Clapp, he suffered an injury, a season-ending injury. He placed on IR. You lost some quality depth there. Torsilli Simpkins has filled in nicely, but again, he's a rookie UDFA. Bringing in Luke Fortner at least brings some experience and some depth to the offensive line, which quite frankly just needs to play better. That's just not at all. That's not a joke whatsoever. He's a 3rd-round pick, 65th overall out of Kentucky in 2022, 6'6", 307 pounds. Never really graded all that well. The most snaps he's played in a season was 1,256 his rookie year. 2023 played 1,163, and last season played 13 snaps. So obviously not a ton of experience, not a ton of recent reps for Luke Fortner, but he is the newest member of the New Orleans Saints. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you subscribe. This is why you tune in. This is why you have your notifications on, because we're providing content every single day. Anytime there's anything notable happening around the black and gold, I take pride in being your go-to guy. So if you want Saints content by fans, for fans, I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this trade. We got winners and losers coming at you tomorrow morning, and then we're going to have a lot more information all throughout the week leading up to the final preseason game against Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. And then week 1 is here, ladies and gentlemen. So let's have a wonderful week. QB battle hopefully gets decided, and maybe no more trades. Unless you're getting more draft capital and sending away players that, you don't absolutely need. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Colin Saunders, want to say best of luck to you in Jacksonville. Really wish nothing but the best to you, man. Really appreciate everything you did for the Saints. Some really fun memories, some really great viral moments. But at the end of the day, it is on to new and beyond for Colin Saunders. So best of luck in Jacksonville. And Who Dat Nation, thank y'all for tuning into tonight's video. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.